What's going on, YouTube? I'm excited to be back in front of the camera again, talking to you guys about major things to avoid in your early 20s. Now, I'm 26. I just kind of turned the corner from being in my early 20s. I'm moving into the other stage now, and I've seen a lot of the pitfalls that people fall into in their early 20s, and I want to talk about those and hopefully give you guys some clarity and maybe help you avoid some of these things. So the first thing that I would avoid if I was in my early 20s would be to not buy a brand new car. It's a very common thing that I see all the time. I know we want to, have status and we want to kind of show what we have. And there's nothing wrong with having a new car, but I think when you're just starting off in your career and you're wanting to invest, you're wanting to build yourself, I think a major hindrance can be having a new car. I know somebody that they're in their early 20s, they just bought a new car, and they're paying like $1,500 a month, $1,500 a month for their car plus the insurance. That is a huge amount of money for a car, and that really prohibits yourself from being able to invest in other things. It really just kind of holds you down, and I think being at such a young age, you really want to have that liberty and that freedom to invest, to try, and when you have a $1,500 payment on your car, that doesn't help. And the next pitfall I think that people fall into when they're in their early 20s is they don't stay at home and save money with their parents. They want to so quickly move out of their house as soon as they're 18. They want to move out of the house. They want to, rent a $2,000 apartment, something like that. And I mean, when you have the first one, a new car, paired with now paying a bunch of rent, how are you going to get ahead in life? So I think if your parents are kind enough, which most of them are, they're very gracious to allow you to stay at their house rent-free, maybe a little bit of chores here and there or something like that, or very low rent. I don't see why you shouldn't take advantage of that. I think more so it's just taboo in the United States, and I'm not knocking the independence mindset. I think it's very good, actually, but I think that there's a time and place for it, and I think if you can take advantage of that graciousness, why wouldn't you, right? In other countries, it's very common. That's how people save up to buy a house or buy property or whatever, start a business. They stay with their parents. They all work together. And so here in the United States, it's not as common. We want to move out very quickly, and I think that could be a pitfall in your early 20s. Now, the next thing I would avoid would be college debt. I think this is kind of an obvious one now, but I wouldn't recommend, from my experience, from what I've seen, I wouldn't recommend going to college for 4 years, partying your butt off, getting a degree that you don't really care that much about, and then ending up getting a job that doesn't even require that degree, and now you're just paying debt for something that you're just paying pretty much $200,000 in debt for 3 or 4 years of good times, right? And I just don't think that's the wisest thing to do. I never went to college myself, and a lot of the people that I know that are out of college now don't even use that degree. So rethink it. I think if you're going for a certain thing, it can be useful, but overall, in retrospect, universities essentially do teach you how to be an employee, and that's okay, that's fine. But if you want to own your own business, you want to be an investor, maybe going to college is not the most beneficial thing for you, and it might even come with a huge price tag. So I would definitely say think over college debt. All right, and the next thing to avoid in your early 20s is not building good habits, not working out, not eating right, not building relationships, just not building good habits. I think that's a big pitfall for people because they think that they can let it slide because they're young, but the reality is those habits build onto your 30s, your 40s, and onward. So I think your early 20s are a pivotal time to build good habits, build a good routine. That way, when you grow older, you have those routines set in stone, and it's nothing new. For example, for me, everybody was kind of partying back when I was in my early 20s, when I was in my 18, 19, 20 years old. I remember all my schoolmates were pretty much partying. They were in college and all that, and I was focused on the gym. I was trying to make money. I was doing what I could to kind of get ahead in life and build good habits. I was trying to surround myself with the right people. And now I'm 26, quite a few years later, and I'm still working out. I'm still trying to build good habits. I'm still trying to stay as disciplined as I can. And I think that's probably because I surrounded myself with the right people and I built some good habits in my early 20s. So don't let that slide. Don't think that you have infinite amount of time, because you don't. And the next pitfall is not trying. And this one's kind of broad, but let me explain it a little bit. So when I was in my early 20s, I saved as much as I could. I stacked up as much dough as I could. And then when it got to investing, I was willing to try. I was willing to throw stuff against the wall, and I was willing to fail. I think that's a huge thing that a lot of early 20, 21, 22-year-olds feel is that they're scared to fail because they've been taught their whole lives that failing is bad, that you don't want to fail. I think school teaches that. I think our parents and just our upbringing teaches us to be scared to fail. But the reality is failure is what leads you to success. And for me, like, I'm thinking back in retrospect, if I didn't have that mindset of the willingness to fail, I wouldn't have started my RV park. I wouldn't have invested in real estate. I wouldn't have tried because I would have thought it was too risky. And so sometimes you've got to try things. You have to see what you're good at. You got to try. You have to throw things against the wall and just see what happens. I think it's a major pitfall when you just kind of stay complacent and you don't put the foot forward to actually give it a go, right? And that's kind of it for this video, guys. I just wanted to share just a quick few things about what you should avoid in your early 20s. Those are my major things that I came up with. If you haven't, follow me on Instagram. I made an Instagram, more personal stuff, traveling and all that. Check it out. I'll leave the link down below in the description. Also, I made a newsletter. So if you guys want to subscribe to my newsletter and get 30-second to 1-minute reads about what my morning thoughts are and just kind of my perspectives on life, I think you'll really like it. The link is down below as well. And then lastly, I did make an ebook, Busboy to a Real Estate Investor, and it's a cool journey. I love recollecting it. So if you guys want to check that out, it's in the link down below. Make sure to like this video if you got some value out of it. I hope you did. Subscribe if you haven't. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.